The career of Zack Snyder. Car crash or success story? Whatever it is, it provides a lot of insights into the 2000s in terms of movies, the movie industry, and even culture, American culture, and therefore the world's culture. American cinema dominates the world's cinema, which is why I say American culture, therefore the world's culture. Snyder's first movie was Dawn of the Dead. Oh, I did not know this. This is fascinating. It was written by George A. Romero. Well, I think that's based on George A. Romero. And James Gunn. Huh. So Zack Snyder and James Gunn go back. I'm not sure if I even saw this. I think I saw the original Dawn of the Dead. It's just zombies in a shopping mall. It's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. Anyways, that was in 2004. 2006, he does 300, which really put him on the map. It was based on a Frank Miller comic book, but filmed wonderfully. I can't think of a better film adaptation other than Sin City, in terms of like how stylish and how well it was done stylishly. And this was the first action movie I've ever seen where the action like goes into slow motion for like certain little parts, like the money shot. It slows down so that you can slowly see the guy stabbing the guy. And I wonder if Zack Snyder actually invented that technique, because it's been copied quite a lot since then. It's almost in every action movie now. I listened to a bunch of lectures about the Spartans. One thing they've got inaccurate is that Spartans were, they made fun of the Greeks in this movie as boy lovers, whereas in truth, Spartans encouraged homosexuality, because the Spartans were raised, among men. They never got to see their wives or kids or anything. And it was thought that if they fell in love with each other, then they're going to protect each other better in war. Anyway, this movie got Snyder on the radar, got his foot in the door, put him on the map, and I think it was made for a very little amount of money and made a hell of a lot of money. And it really showcased Zack Snyder's ability to make a movie, to film as a director. So now that he had clout, he was able to make Watchmen, which was a very highly ambitious movie to make. Firstly, considering how long I think I didn't read it, but the original comic book was. Secondly, because it deals with a lot of depth. Third, probably because the imagery is probably difficult to translate into film. Alan Moore, of course, didn't want anything to do with it. He didn't want to see it. And I understand, he's explained before that it's like his works are like his babies, and he doesn't want to see them changed, even if it's in a good way. But the other writer, or whoever it was, illustrator of the comic, said they wished Alan Moore did see it, because they thought it was done very well. This movie I thought was amazing. I thought it was like one of the best movies of its kind. And then after seeing this movie, I thought Zack Snyder was the best and biggest new director around. And Watchmen came out in 2009, and sometime after this was when Nolan got huge with the Dark Knight trilogy, and they said that he could head the new Superman movie. And I was thinking, please pick Zack Snyder, he would be perfect. It would be, oh, please. And guess what? Christopher Nolan did. But before that came the Owls of Legend of the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole, which was some sort of CGI kids movie or something, which I never watched. I can't handle CGI movies. Not because CGI movies like Pixar movies aren't good, but because they have this revolting effect on me, like an uncanny valley, right? Like some of the, I don't know, Toy Story. They're all well written, and some of them are like extremely well written. It's just they're so hard to watch because it's just too much for my senses. I almost wish these movies were puppet. I'd rather watch a puppet show of the movie than actually have to look at all those bright colors and perfect fake faces and whatnot. Okay, and then after securing the role as director for Man of Steel, Zack Snyder released Sucker Punch, which was largely mocked, didn't make a lot of money, and I guess made people question how good or not good Man of Steel was going to be. Personally, I really liked Sucker Punch. I thought, look, man, that's all they really want is hot chicks, scantily clad fighting monsters. It's what every kid wants. I'm surprised it didn't do well. And it also had sort of a deep idea behind it. Zack Snyder was one of the writers. It was like a girl who's living three realities at the same time. The one reality is as a fantasy, as a comic book character, and then another fantasy is that she's a prostitute in a brothel, and then the third then the reality is that she's actually gonna get a lobotomy because she's in a mental institution. And I mean, it was just a very ambitious. I'll give Snyder this. As a writer, he's very, very ambitious and daring, and he just usually doesn't succeed as a writer, unfortunately. But I'd rather have a writer that makes something like this, where he's taking chances and trying something new, and also delivering hot chicks, than a safe director like, I don't know, who's a safe director? I don't know, Brett Ratner, somebody who just toes the line and just makes an average movie, bare minimum. Okay, so then he did Man of Steel, which I think did pretty well in the theaters. And I largely thought it was a really good movie. I really liked it. And Superman is very close to my heart. I'm 47, and when I was like a 6-year-old, I used to go to school, walking through the snow, singing, like in my head, hearing the music of Superman 2 when he had to walk all the way to the Fortress of Solitude. I would pretend I was Superman walking to school, walking to the Fortress of Solitude. My two heroes as a 6-year-old were Luke Skywalker and Superman. And interestingly, my birthday is the same, September 25th is the same day as Mark Hamill and Christopher Reeve. So, Henry Cavill was perfect as Superman, and I loved it because you just have to get it right, kind of, for me to love it, because I love Superman. I want to like it. That said, I didn't like the way they did Krypton. Probably because of my childhood, I envisioned Krypton to be this almost like heavenly place where everything's white and everybody is so civilized. I also had an issue with, what's his name? Father? What's his name? Not Ben Parker. Martha and Pa Kent. What's his name? Jonathan, yeah. I didn't like how Kevin Costner's Jonathan Kent basically said, yeah, maybe you should just let people die instead of risking having them find out that you're Superman. And also let me die. He's so stupid. I thought it was also a real plot contrivance that General Zod's, the very device that sent him to the Phantom Zone also doubles as a world destroyer or terraformer. I mean, give me a break. And that whole thing about the codex of all Kryptonian life is imprinted on Superman, that was unnecessary, and it just complicated a story that didn't need to be that complicated. I also don't like when Lois Lane says to the army person, she goes, well, what if I have to tinkle? And he gives her a bucket. And it's like, what do you mean, what if I have to tinkle? Just have her say, what if I have to take a piss? Like, who the hell says, what if I have to go tinkle? I'll tell you, I don't care if it was the hottest chick in the world. If she said to me, I gotta go tinkle, I'd probably, leave. And, a lot of fans had a problem with, Superman killing Zod at the end, snapping his neck. I don't really understand what they're upset about. Zod was about to kill all these people. Superman had no choice. And when he did it, he felt so remorseful. So I really don't get it. Um, Superman and Batman, yeah, they don't kill people, but I'm sure they have in the comics. Regretfully, they didn't want to, but they had to. And love it or hate it, I think everybody has to agree that Zack Snyder is a good director. He directs his cinematography. Maybe that's the cinematographer. Maybe it's not him at all. But it's stunning to watch. Always. In all of his movies, even the ones you don't like. 2016, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice with Wonder Woman and Lex Luthor. And Doomsday. I felt some warning signs, a lot of warning signs, during the production and pre-production. When they first announced that it was going to be Batman versus Superman, I was like, okay, this is perfect, fine, that's going to be amazing, I can't wait. This is going to be the best movie of all time. But then they add to the title Dawn of Justice, and I'm like, wait, what? It was Batman versus Superman. What are you doing? Then you hear, they're bringing Wonder Woman into this. Wait, so it's not Batman versus Superman. And Lex Luthor plays a key. So it's not Batman versus Superman. And then they got Doomsday, and it's like, okay, so it's not. It's Doomsday. Right? So just call the movie Superman with Doomsday and Batman and Lex Luthor and Wonder Woman. They even had the cameo with the Flash. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the producers pressured Zack Snyder and said, you have to have Wonder Woman in this. You have to have Doomsday. You have to have more. Instead, it became false advertising, and it was not Batman versus Superman at all. Other than that, who cares? Good movie, fine. It wasn't a bad movie. Still better than a lot, if not most, of the Marvel Phase 1 movies, if we're all going to be honest with each other. It was better than Thor: The Dark World. It was better than Ant-Man. And you know what makes it worse is that this is the same year that Captain America: Civil War came out. And the two movies kind of had similar premises, where the two sides are made to go against each other by some nefarious other third party. And Civil War actually takes responsibility for all the damage going on, whereas Batman vs. Superman doesn't address all the destruction that happened in Man of Steel, right? Because that was another big complaint everybody had about Man of Steel, was how many casualties there must have been during Superman's fight with Zod, which I really think is like, who gives a... Give me a break. Every comic book movie has that kind of crap happening. Like, well, why didn't anybody point out how Neo is basically mass murdering people in the Matrix, right? He's going into a place and shooting up people, blowing them all away with a machine gun. And these are real people because they're plugged into the Matrix. Oh, and one more thing. Maybe a year before this movie came out, it occurred to me, you know what? Both Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne's mothers were named Martha. I'm like, wow, I never realized that. So then in the movie, when he's like, Martha, save Martha, it's like, what the hell? My mother's named Martha too. I thought that was a nice touch, but everybody mocks it. Everybody mocks that. I don't see why that's such a big deal. I mean, if I was about to kill somebody like Batman was about to kill Superman, and I suddenly yell out that guy suddenly yells out my mother's name, I probably might be like, wait, he's got a mother. I mean, what's so wrong with that? Then Justice League comes out, riddled with problems, internal problems apparently. One of the big problems, I'll note, just between DC and Marvel, is that DC was always late to the party, right? They had to rush this so they could catch up with Marvel, and have their little Avengers group. DC never worked. I don't think it ever worked as a group effort. Superman's better on his own. Batman's better on his own. I don't really want to see them all teaming up and forming a Justice League, which sounds silly. But to further make things difficult, Avengers, I think, Infinity War had come out, or was about to come out, or was already, we already knew that we're going to be the Infinity Stones. And then this movie's got the mother boxes. It's like, okay, come on, so it's the same thing, right? Like, we got Thanos searching for the Infinity Stones. We got Darkseid searching for the mother boxes. Like, it's just, they were late again to the party. And, you know, again, this video is about Zack Snyder, right? But, again, like, I'm just going to say, the whole Marvel DC issue, right? It continued because Marvel started the whole multiverse saga. And then Flash, after we've had probably a few multiverse movies, the Flash finally comes out and it's doing the multiverse when everybody's sick and tired of the multiverse. So again, DC's late to the party. Then in 2021, Zack Snyder comes out with Army of the Dead, right? I hate zombie movies, but I think I was watching it at a friend's house and I was saying, you know, this is actually pretty fun. So I went home and I watched it, and you know what? It was a lot of fun. There was no depth to it. Zack Snyder usually tries to be deeper, but this was just a lot of fun and really well done. And that's coming from somebody who hates zombie movies. And finally, Rebel Moon, which I think was supposed to be Zack Snyder's. He wanted it to be a Star Wars movie, but they wouldn't let him. So he just made this thing instead. And I think there's 2 movies so far. I don't know if there's going to be a third one. But all I know is everybody says it's just terrible. Like, it's just like the worst thing. So I haven't tried watching it. And I probably never will watch it. Now, I think, firstly, Zack Snyder should probably not be writing. Or if he insists on writing, he needs to have some co-writer who can correct his, you know, errors. Especially in the case of maybe this Rebel Moon. Even in the case of Sucker Punch, maybe he could have used a little bit of edits in his writing. I still think he's one of the best directors. He can shoot a scene better than anybody. In particular, specifically action movies, action shots. So I don't know that Zack Snyder's career would be a car crash, because he's made some damn good movies. Watchmen, 300, I mean, it wasn't damn good, but it was good. Man of Steel. I'll tell you this much, I'd rather have Zack Snyder's career than James Gunn's career, because I hated the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I don't think James Gunn has any depth. I have no interest in his version of Superman. I think James Gunn he shot himself in the balls by recasting Superman. Everybody was invested. Everybody loved Henry Cavill. Why would you do that? And yeah, you know, I don't know that Zack Snyder's career has been a failure. I'd love to have had the freedom that he had and to have been able to do my vision, which I think he was able to do on many occasions, not including Batman versus Superman, you know, where I believe the producers got their filthy, dirty hands in Justice League. Rebel Moon, I don't know what the hell that was. Maybe he's proud of it. Maybe it's actually good. I mean, just because everybody hates something doesn't mean it sucks. It's just a fact, right? And just because everybody loves something doesn't mean it's good. The Spice Girls, when they came out, I thought, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed for them. They're going to be so embarrassed. And then they got huge. And that's happened with so many things where I was embarrassed. When Avatar came out, I felt so bad for James Cameron. I'm like, this movie's going to flop so bad. So it just shows you what I know. And maybe I will watch Rebel Moon, and maybe I will watch Megalopolis by Francis Ford Coppola. Because if everybody hates it, maybe I'll like it.